Hello and welcome back to today's episode. I feel like I was over enthusiastic then.
I'm just, like, do you, do you ever do this? Do you know when there's,
What have you done to the intro?
it's just reminded me of something, because do you know when you're watching TV and there's two presenters?
Yeah.
Do you ever watch the one that's not talking, or is that just me? I always watch the one that's not talking because I think, I wonder what he's like thinking. I wonder, it's just like, because the one that's not talking is like,
Yeah, just sat there like looking interested. That's like you every time I do the intro.
yeah, so when Ant and Dec's talking, that one will be talking, I'll be looking at that one. And then when that one starts talking, I start looking at that one.
Now everyone's going to be like staring at you when I'm doing the intros.
Yeah, so every time you're talking, I'll be like,
Pretend you're interested in what I'm saying.
yeah, I won't even be listening. I'll get completely lost in the conversation because I'm just pulling faces. You say what? You say that? What?
Whole podcast is just me talking and you getting distracted.
And me just pulling faces.
Literally.
That's pretty much the story of my life, actually. Yeah.
God.
How did he get to where you got? It just yeah. Do I look all right, Dad? Get a bit more fat off. Hey, you ready? Oh,
God.
fucking hell.
And Joe?
Oh, dear.
Anyway.
Well, anyway, we're back.
We're going to do a little different episode today. It's not a Q&A.
Leah's been having ideas.
I've had some ideas. Someone actually gave me this idea because I got a message from someone that listened to the podcast saying that all the first timer tips were really good. And
Yeah, I've had a bit of that as well, actually.
yeah, and then a girl messaged me and she said, "Oh, I just no, she followed me, I think, and I messaged her. And she said, "Oh, I just found your podcast randomly. I'm competing for the first time." So I thought, "Oh, this will be a great episode," because obviously, coming into the start of the season and stuff, and there'll be I know we get a lot of first timers listening to the podcast, so thought, right, why don't we do a couple of episodes around competing for the first time? So
let's help these young people out.
let's help them out. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to do one on competing for the first time in terms of like setting yourself up and going through your prep. And then we're going to do an episode on post-show as well in terms of like how to navigate post-show as a first timer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or as in anybody. You don't actually have to be a first timer.
Yeah. Still
but if you don't know, soon you will know.
You will. It's got all the tips.
How we do it anyway. I'm trying to think how many first timers I probably put on stage every year. It must be at least about 15, I reckon.
Yeah.
Pulled that number completely out the air, but I reckon it will be.
A random number and said it.
Well, I think at like first timers 5, I've usually got good 7 or 8 sometimes. Yeah. And then there's like the first timers 3, usually I've got a few in. So yeah, and then first time, I would say I put at least 15 first timers on stage a year.
Yeah.
So
a lot.
I know this. I've got you.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't put that many clients on stage as you, but all mine pretty much are first timers. I think I think I've had 2 clients that have competed before that I've prepped.
Yeah, so you're more in with the newbies.
Yeah, most of the clients that I get on stage are like people that don't necessarily want to compete, and they then start getting into like physique development, and then they do a photo shoot, and then they decide they want to compete. So they've more so like gone into that journey versus like I do get somewhere they're like, "Oh yeah, I want to compete," but it's more
see a bit of Delt in the mirror, and then they're like, well, maybe. I still think they secretly wanted to compete before that.
Yeah, or they're like, "Nah, I never want to compete," and then a year later they're like,
yeah, I always get that. I don't want to compete, it's not for me, blah blah blah. And I think deep down they do, and then they say, don't they, like, actually I really kind of did, but I just didn't ever think I'd be able to do it.
Yeah,
and I love that.
And a lot of it.
Yeah, and then when they start seeing it happening, they're like, "Ooh, yeah."
It's cool, isn't it, though? I think that's really nice because it's like...
It's still one of my favourite things.
Yeah. It's like a natural way of getting into it rather than like... Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So we're going to cover today... I'm going to give you a little debrief before we get stuck in.
Debrief.
So, is it right for you? And whether going into a prep is the best thing for you. How to choose the right coach. Good one. How to... Dan is pointing at himself for anyone listening. How to build a foundation before you prep, some common mistakes as a first timer, and we're going to do a little bit around peak week and show day and all that stuff, time frames, logistics.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love having Leah on here. She just thinks of everything, and then I just talk. It's the best thing ever.
I mean, I did do a little bit of prep today because I thought we probably need to have some guideline before we get stuck.
Yeah. Because if we just leave it to me talking shit, who knows where we're going to end up?
Yeah, we'll end up with like a 4-hour podcast.
Yeah, and no more viewers.
So, first
So what was
things
the first one?
First one is it the right thing for you in terms of, I think the main thing here is kind of understanding like what a prep actually is, because I think a lot of people maybe see it and then dive in not knowing like what's fully involved in a prep.
Yeah, I've had a little bit of this actually with people that have wanted to compete, and you can kind of tell that they've not been around it enough to kind of get it and how difficult it is. Do you know what I mean? And what you need to kind of go through. So I think just submerging yourself in the environment for a little while is good. Just being around people that are competing, or following them on Instagram and watching what they're doing, and going through like content and YouTube videos and bits and pieces and things like that. Because there's nothing worse than trying to get stuck into something before you're really ready. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So just making sure that you are very aware of what's going on. What was the subject again? Say it again. I went off
Sorry,
on one
that's
then and I
just a
thought, what was I actually talking about?
we were just talking about like, is it the right thing for you to compete?
Oh yeah, is it the right thing for you? Yeah. So so just being around it to start with, so you know what you're doing. I just thought at one point, and I thought I'd mentioned that, and I thought, fucking hell, I don't even know what I'm on about now. And just there's a lot to it. Do you know what I mean? You need to know that you're ready to be hungry. You need to know that it's going to cost money. You need to know that it's going to take up a lot of your time. You're going to lose out on social events. And it sounds like we're trying to black cloud it, but really, there's a lot of, I don't want to call it hard times that come with competing, but like it's a fucking difficult thing to do.
Yeah,
And you're
it's
going to be,
hard.
yeah, it's probably the hardest thing, one of the hardest things you'll ever do, really. And you're going to give up a lot of family time, time with your partner, time just doing normal social things that you're possibly used to. So I think making sure that you've been around that, been through a good few proper cuts as well. So you know what cutting feels like, not just a bit of a tidy up cut. I mean, like, let's get your abs out. Do you know what I mean? Like, kind of push down a little bit and see what that feels like, see how you cope with that. See how you are mentally with that, restricting the food, feeling hungry, what you like afterwards. Are you okay mentally? Like all of these things, you've got to take them into account, really, and um, that's what getting around the right people does, and getting the right coach as well, which is going to take you through that, make you aware of these things, tell you you're not ready to do it yet. If you're not ready to do it, and actually be honest with you, instead of just taking your money and putting you through it and watching it burn. Do you know what I mean? Which is hard. Which is hard sometimes to tell people they're not ready for that yet, because some people take offence to it. Do you know what I mean? But you have to tell them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I definitely agree with them like being around bodybuilders, because I think if you just like look at people, and obviously it is, you look at it and it looks really cool and exciting, which it is, it's amazing, but I think obviously you don't see all the, especially on social media, you don't see all the behind the scenes of a prep, and like, you know, the waking up, not, it sounds like I'm being really negative, but I'm not, but like you wake up in the morning and you're absolutely starving, you go to bed at night and you're starving, and like you still got all your steps and your cardio to and it's obviously like you don't see a lot of that online, whereas if you spend time like you used to with bodybuilders, or even if you're watching vlogs, like I documented all 3 of my last preps, I documented on YouTube from start to end. And it goes through like the whole day, and there's loads of people that do similar things. Like I know Georgie documented a lot of hers, like people like Phoebe Hagen document theirs as well. So there's loads of people on YouTube that just literally film their day on prep. So
It
even
looks glamorous, doesn't it, on Instagram?
yeah, it does. But I think YouTube's a bit more like raw, like
Nitty
behind the
gritty of it.
scenes. Yeah. So I think if you're not around people, or you don't have people at your gym that are competing, like go and watch some vlogs as well, where you're watching people that are like talking about it, and they can show you like what it's actually like behind the scenes. But
yeah, so making sure it is the right thing for you.
yes, 100%. And like you said, I think with the socials as well, because not everyone wants to go, not everyone is willing to give up that level of like, that sounds really depressing, but you know what I mean, not everyone's ready to give up that level of like their life in terms of not being able to go out for any meals,
Yeah.
like wanting to be in bed like at 8 o'clock, half 8 at night, like not having the energy to go and socialize, because you do get to that point on a prep where you're like, I just want to like hermit on the sofa
Yeah,
in my blanket.
yeah. And if you've got a family and stuff, that's hard.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Can't just have chicken
100%.
nuggets with the kids because it's Friday. It's just
Yeah,
you can't do that.
yeah. You can't be like, oh, I'll just finish the kids' food, or I'll just have a day off today. Like you have to be on it 100%. So I think it's just making sure that you're like mentally, and as well that you're happy to do that, that you're not going to see it as like this horrible thing that, you know, is a massive sacrifice as well, that you're in a position where you're like, actually, I'm excited for it, I'm not like dreading
Yeah, yeah. It's a luxury to starve yourself.
it. Yeah, it is actually, when you think about it.
It is. It's a
Yeah,
first world fucking thing.
yeah,
Poor me. I've got the luxury of starving all my fat off by choice.
yeah, literally, you are right.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think the other thing I noted down as well is just having a realistic expectation. And obviously, some people like compete as first timers and smash it, and you know, but they might have had years and years and years bodybuilding before they've got on stage.
Yeah.
So I think just being realistic with, not necessarily if it's the first time you compete, but also just looking at like how many years you've been bodybuilding for, you know, how long have you spent building muscle, you know, how is your body composition, because then you know, you're not going in with like super high expectations if you've only been bodybuilding for like a year, for example, or two.
Yeah, definitely. It's yeah, just being realistic. And there's not to say you can't go in and win everything. Like
Yeah,
it's been done. But yeah, I love working with first timers because generally they're not really thinking like that. They just want they're
yeah.
happy to crack on and get it done. Do you know what I
They
mean?
just
And
want to do it for like the experience.
yeah, yeah, and I love that freshness of it.
Yeah. So you just touched on this a bit, but choosing the right coach. Give me a lowdown.
It's just talking to them in it and making sure that you get on with them to start with. That's
Yeah,
going to be the main thing. Right type of character, right type of person, but it's got to be backed up by results, experience, good feedback from people, because there's some good coaches and there's some fucking bad coaches and there's some dangerous coaches. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
you've really got to do your own work. And I sometimes forget. I was having this conversation yesterday because I've been in the industry, whatever the fuck, 20 years or whatever. Like I know everybody, I know who everybody is, I know what's what, blah blah blah. And I do forget that people that are coming in and looking around for coaches,
yeah,
they don't know who's who and what's what. And
yeah,
to be fair, like they're only being able to see through what people's Instagram is, which I mean that can be lethal. You know what I mean?
yeah,
To be
yeah,
fair, it is quite savage, and I never used to really think about that. I used to just think, well, they should know who everybody is. You can
yeah,
see that. Do you know what I mean? But when I've gone into other in the industries of interest from my own hobbies or whatever it might be with bits and pieces, I don't know the fuck anybody is.
mm,
So you
yeah,
do just start looking around at people's YouTubes
yeah,
and Instagrams and stuff. It's like there's no other real way. So I mean, I get it, but maybe just messaging some of the athletes, seeing what's what, seeing what people work like, seeing who's who. And generally, if somebody's been around a long period of time and they've still got all not bad things surrounding them, you're pretty much onto a winner. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
100%. Yeah, and I think like every coach has got a different way of coaching as well. Like if you're someone that really likes, you know, loads of data and filling out loads of things, then, you know, go to a coach that does that. And if you're someone that doesn't want to do that and you want it to just be straightforward and like get the job done and you don't want to do that, then go to a coach who does that. So I think also like don't be worried about messaging the coach and just asking them like, how do you coach, like how do you, you know, how do you do things, because then you
I
can
get
figure out like, is that the right thing for me, or do I need a different approach? Because there's nothing worse than going in and then being like, oh, this wasn't like what I expected it to be, or
yeah,
actually this doesn't
I
work for
get
me.
that on most consults. To be fair.
Yeah,
How does this work? How do you do that? Well, to be fair, I tell them to start with, but then they'll say, "Well, how does this work? And what about that? And what about this?"
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
they're doing their own work, and that's sound. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because you don't want to be with. You need to be the right fit for the right person.
yes,
Um, and some people say, "Oh, wow, that sounds like the best thing ever." And some
yeah,
people say,
100%.
"Not sure if that one's for me." You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah, and that's what I know you do with the calls at the start as well. That's why I like doing the calls at the start, because I think like you can generally tell then, like speaking to someone, like, you know, whether you're going to work with them well, whether you get on, like whether it's actually the right thing. Because like I know some coaches do this, but I don't think I would like to work with a client having like not actually spoke to them face to face, because I think like I just don't
No,
know what they're like as people. I just don't think I
no.
could coach them properly.
I won't take anyone on until I've spoken to
Yeah,
them
yeah,
because they might be wrong for me.
yeah,
And then
exactly.
I feel bad taking. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking. I'll be
Yeah,
thinking, and I mean, I have said to people on consults, I don't really think this is going to be for you.
yeah,
I think it's you maybe need X, Y, Z, whatever. Do
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So yeah, I guess like looking, and like you said, looking at their experience, how long they've been coaching for, results, because the results are going to speak for themselves as well. Like what results do they get? And then definitely what you said, like go onto their page, look at some of their clients,
Yeah.
and
Stalk
message
them,
them.
message them.
Yeah, message
Yeah,
them, like, and be like, go and like, how have you found working with XYZ coach? You know, would you
yeah.
recommend them? What do you like? What do you don't like? Because then
So
you get
most
a
people
good,
are happy to reply to that. I
yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and I think what's interesting on this is that anyone could like show up and call themselves an online coach as well, which is actually quite scary, really, isn't it?
It's an unregulated industry, and
Yeah,
that's why results have to talk.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mad times. Mad
Yeah,
times.
scary shit.
So let's talk about like the pre-prep, right? Because we kind of touched on this at the start, but like building a good foundation before you go into the prep itself. So you touched a bit on like make sure you can diet, make sure you're starting in a good spot on that side of things.
The pre-prep, if you want to call it that, it's a new expression in it, but
Yeah.
being in the right spot for when you start a prep is as or more important than the actual prep itself. It determines how the prep works out because if you're starting too fat, not eating enough food, health markers in a fucking shit place, metabolism in the bin, head in the bin, life not in the right spot. Like all of that's going to determine how the prep goes.
Yeah.
And I know bodybuilders, and I was the same mindset person. I will eat fucking dust and dog shit to get in shape. I don't give a fuck. I'll do 2 hours cardio a day. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are like that. I was the same. But that doesn't mean to say that just because you're willing to do that and able to do that, that's going to work out the best
Yeah.
way for you. That's silly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
So going through the right phases and look, it won't look necessarily the same way for everybody, but one of the things I am asking when I'm talking to people, if they want to prep, when was the last time you dieted? How long was you dieting for? How long of the
Yeah.
last 12 to 18 months have you spent actually in a surplus? When have you got any blood work? Have you had this? When was the last time you got this? Have you got any pictures from this point? What have you been doing for this amount of months? Blah de blah de blah de blah. And I'm trying to get a picture from people like of where we're at. Do you know what I mean? Now a lot of people sometimes when I have consults, I don't need to ask because it's self-explanatory. They've just finished competing, or they've competed before and they've done a blah 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 blah. But for somebody fairly new, I want to be knowing all these things because what I don't want to be doing is thinking, oh, well they look all right. Um, Food seems in an okay place. And then I found out they've dieted for like 12
Yeah.
months straight. And then like we were about to go into a prep and the boyfriend left last week and they've been needing counselling because do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I get what you
I
mean.
know it's a random example, but like they need to be mentally in a good spot and ready to go through it. I don't want to be pushing
Yeah.
somebody through some shit. So I mean, a bit of a checkbox for you. Blood work. Make sure all of your hormones and everything are in the right place, and that's been sat there for a little while. Body fat needs to be in check. You don't want to be trying to take off 23 kilo in fucking 20 weeks because that's going to end up an absolute disaster. So you need to be wanting to take like within striking distance of being able to do it without pushing too hard and coming down too fast. Um, is your money situation in a good spot? Are you okay as far as where you live in? Are you going to be able to afford all the things that come up on the prep over the next 5 or 6 months? Have you got that in a place? Have you had some savings put by to make sure you can do it? Blah blah blah. Um, what else? That's it, innit? That's probably it. But just making sure your history up to that point's good. It's rare that I take anyone on that's about to start a prep.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's very, very rare, and I actually don't like doing it. And
Yeah.
that
I
someone will say,
agree.
"Oh yeah, there's a show in 5.5 months. Will you coach me?" That
Yeah.
don't. That's a bit of an old school thing. That doesn't really happen anymore.
Yeah.
Usually, what I'll get is like consults I've had this week. Where are we? March. Dan, I want to compete in September, October 2027. Let's
Yeah.
have a conversation. Dan, I want to compete in June 2027. Let's
Yeah.
have a conversation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or even now, March time. Dan, I want to compete in October, November. We've still got enough time. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
What I don't really get is I need to start prep next week. Can you write me a diet? That's
Yeah.
not really a thing. So
Yeah.
make sure you're spending some time with the coach, because the coach is going to want to see how you react to food, how you react to training, how you react to dieting is good. It's an always good insight to see, like, you might be somebody who doesn't lose it very quick. Do you know what I mean? You might be losing a pound a week, sometimes not even that. You might need to allow for longer on the prep. It might just fucking be somebody where it falls off and you're losing over a
Yeah.
kilo a week, and dieting's not. You know what I mean? Like, all these factors play into place. So if you're coming along and saying, "Oh yeah, I've got a show in 20 weeks, let's go," and you ain't got time to get done, it's just going to end up like shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Hundred
And the
percent.
worse a prep you have, and I know we're going to do another episode on this, but the worse a prep you end up having because you've not set off all this stuff 12 months in advance, 18 months in advance, the worst post show experience you're going to have. And the worst post show experience you have because of the worst prep you've had, then you're going to have a worse experience after that getting fixed and back to normal. Because what
Yeah.
goes down hard comes up fast. And then you got to try and catch that and all the mental side of it and all the rest of it, which we will cover in another episode.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
it's all one big
It's all a loop.
interlinking. It's all big one big interlinking loop. I say this to people,
Yeah.
all of it leads into the next bit. The off season leads into the pre prep cut. The pre prep cut leads into the maintenance. The maintenance leads into a really good prep. Obviously, you've checked your health around this point. You have a decent prep, which means the reverse is not too bad. Which means you go back into an off season, your health comes back quicker, and then you go, and it all just links together like that. The
Yeah.
fucking worse you make that, the worse time you're gonna have.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think, yeah, sometimes what I've had before is like, because when you're a first timer as well, sometimes you don't necessarily like understand how long it actually takes. Because when you look at the start of the year and you think, oh, I'm going to compete at the end of the year, you think, oh, it's
Yeah,
only a year, it's so much time. But
yeah,
then if you like haven't really done a proper diet before, you don't have enough muscle. It's like ideally you probably could do it in maybe like a mini cut at the start to get you a bit leaner,
yeah.
you
See
know,
what you've got.
yeah, see where you're at. You know, if you've got someone that's carrying maybe a bit more body fat, and then you could probably do with a good 5 6 months at least, like actually in a surplus building muscle.
Yeah,
And you look at that, and that's probably 8 to 9 months. That puts you at the end of the year,
yeah.
and then you've got obviously
Your
maybe
pre
prep
prep to go
after
back
that.
through if you need
Yeah.
one. Yeah,
So
so then you're
really,
at a year.
yeah. So when you look at it, you're probably looking like maybe more towards 2 years, and then people think, oh my god, 2 years, but
Soon passes.
yeah, it really does. So I
And
think,
that's your groundwork. Because
yeah,
how many girls do you know that have come out of the prep and they're just fucked? And it
yeah,
takes them 2 years to get their brain and body and everything back to normal because they've had such a rough time. They can't stop binging, the body weight's flying on, so they don't know what they're doing. They're all of a sudden 20 odd kilos above stage weight, but then they can't lose weight because the body's not fixed yet because it wasn't right before the prep,
yeah,
and then the prep was bad. Then they're stuck fat for ages, but they
yeah,
don't want to be fat, so they don't want to keep the food up because they're getting fatter. And then they try dieting, it's not working, so they end up binging, and this is what happens, man. This
yeah.
this is what happens to some people. So
Yeah, it is
you need
mad.
to know what you're getting into, and I've seen all that shit
Yeah,
multiple times with people over the years. And
yeah,
I usually get the job of fixing it when they come to me after
yeah,
that. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, this is
yeah,
what we need to do,
yeah.
and this is how we get you out of it.
Yeah, that's why like taking your time with it is so important because you might think, oh my god, like 2 3 years, it's a long time. But if you get yourself rather than just diving into the prep, if you do a proper structure building phase, you get some muscle on, you do like a little mini cut, you've then worked with your coach, you've built muscle with them, you've
Yeah.
been through like a diet together. Like even if you do something like a photo shoot prep first and you don't need to get stage lean, but you get like pretty lean,
Mhm.
you can just test the water and see like if you enjoy it, see if you like it, and then like you said, then by the time you start your prep, you've got a decent amount of muscle, you're in a good spot from a body comp perspective, and you're
Yeah.
not then like starting with a coach dieting for the first time, being like, how much
Yeah.
muscle do they have? It does their body respond? Like all
You're
these
just fucking
questions.
guessing, innit? You're
Yeah,
just guessing.
exactly.
That's why the photo shoot thing's good as long as you don't get too lean with it.
Yeah,
Because getting lean, it takes recovery.
yeah,
And this is why I don't understand like mock preps and shit like that. And they go for like a proper prep
yeah,
and then get lean and don't compete. And I think, what the fuck? Why
yeah,
would you? I just don't get it. Why would you? I mean, I get why you'd want to see what happens, but like, then your body needs to recover from that. So you might as well just competed.
Yeah,
Do you know
yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
what I'm
You might as
saying.
well just painted yourself brown and turn around in some circles and done it while you was there, because
Yeah.
now you're recovering from the bastard
Yeah,
prep.
I've not seen many of those, to be fair, like the mock prep.
Not pre-prep, sorry, the mock prep. No, you see it sometimes, though, and I think not so bad with guys, but girls,
Yeah,
like, it's what? So you like lost your period and
I know,
like,
it's not worth
what the
it, is
fuck?
that? Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing
no.
that for.
No, I'll always say this to like the girls that are doing the shoot preps as well. Like, really, you don't want to be pushing to the point where you like losing your period and stuff because I just think
No,
it's not worth
semi-lean's
it.
enough.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, basically, make sure you work with your coach for long enough. It's probably going to take longer than you think. Get your foundation, get everything locked in. Make sure you actually like it before you do a prep.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anything
I'll
else
tell
to
him the truth. I'll tell him the truth.
add? Yeah, you will. You will. So common mistakes. I've written down a few, but obviously you can kind of throw out what you've seen in terms of. I mean, we've covered a lot really from like a first timer. I guess one of the big ones would be like diving into a prep before you've even like lived as a bodybuilder.
Yeah, yeah, live it for a bit.
Live it for a bit. Um, Not eating enough before, which we've kind of touched on. Like when you're working before, you wanna start your diet with your food like in a good spot, like not doing loads of cardio. Because if you're starting a prep or a diet or whatever, and you're already doing loads of cardio when your food's not high, like you're not, you're gonna run yourself into
Yeah,
the ground trying to diet.
yeah, for sure. So you need to spend a bit of time. That's why I like the way I kind of usually set it up. Like if you compete in October, and we've been through an off season the year before, I'll normally like do a bit of a 6 or 8 week cut, the January and February. Not too harsh. If your body's in a good spot, the fat should just fall away anyways, and then kind of reverse and kind of build that maintenance every week without putting any fat back on. Get rid of the cardio, get your steps down a bit. So the body fat's still in a good place. You've not had a chance to put any fat back on yet. We take it steady, and then you've got a real good spot to kind of diet from. Body's fresh and healthy still because
Yeah,
you've not pushed it, but you've taken some fat off it didn't need, so you
yeah,
don't have to go through that in the prep. The worst thing, the fucking worst thing, is, and I did this on my story the other week or the other day, I can't remember when it was. Um, some first timers, and if you're watching this, motherfuckers, I'm talking about you. They'll go on a mad binge like 4 or 5 weeks
yeah,
before they
yeah,
start prep. So they're like, it's like, right, I'm going to jail, so I'm going to spend the next 4 week getting drunk and going to strip clubs, right? And that's like but they do it with food. So they think, right, well, fuck it, I'm going to spend the next 20 weeks dieting, so I'm going to eat everything that I want now.
yeah.
I've had some bad ones of these over the years. Fucking hell. And I literally have a riot act that I have to read every bastard first. Well, I don't read it, but I say it. Every first timer, like as we're going through this
Yeah,
period, I've done it to all my first timers just about that are going into these shows. Do not do this to me. I've had it before where we've come down, took fucking loads off. They've only got 6 or 8 weeks until they start the prep, anyways. Then they've put on bloody more than we took off on
yeah,
the cut, and we're in a worse position because now we're fatter and we're eating less food, and like, what am I going to do with you now? Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? And
yeah.
every week you think, right, they'll pack it in, they'll pack it in, they'll pack it, and then they just and the fucking scales,
Throw it
and you
up.
think, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? What
Yeah,
are you doing here?
yeah,
So now I read everybody the right acts and everybody gets it.
yeah.
But yeah, I've had some fucking mad ones of them over the years.
Yeah, people
I
like
had
me say
one
I'm
girl
just so
come back. I won't say who she is, but she knows who she bloody is. It's from back in the day when I just did it at PT in the gym, so it was
yeah.
different from then. I wasn't doing any proper checking, as in like on the
Hmm.
thingy. It was just in the gym when I seen him in the gym. So I'd gone off like, I don't know, December, broke off. I went on holiday, I think that like the year and the December or whatever. And I come back and said, just chill, do what you're doing. We'll start prepping January, right? Sound old school. Come back, and I thought, what in the fuck has she been doing? And she must, I don't even know. She'll probably be able to tell me how much she fucking put on, but I'm sure it was like a stone and a half or something like that in like 6 weeks, four
Yeah,
weeks, whatever it was
that
across
is
that like
good
period.
going.
And I
Well, not
said,
good
what you
going.
been fucking doing? And she said, oh, well, obviously we're starting prep in January. So every lunchtime I was going across to the cafe. I was ordering butty, fucking vanilla slices from the
No
bake,
way.
like all this fucking shit every day. And obviously I'd not been present at the time, which is obviously the benefit of being an online coach nowadays as opposed to what it was like
Yeah.
then. And motherfucker. And then
Oh,
she said, oh, So say we had like, I don't know, 20 weeks, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Then she told me she wanted to do the show 6 weeks before that, and I'm like, oh,
Another spanner in the works.
oh my god. She won. She won the bloody
Oh my
show. I can
god,
believe it or not. I got her down, but fucking hell, it was some going
that's
like.
mad.
So yeah, we're going back to like a long time ago now, 2017, 18,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
I've had them all. I've fucking had them all, Leah. I'm telling you.
That is
You'll
crazy.
know it is. She's a legend. She's an old DW legend. I'll tell you after, but I don't
Okay,
know how we're on the podcast. But yeah, you'll know exactly what it is.
okay,
Character.
okay. I'm interested to see. Um, yeah. So basically, don't do that. That's a big mistake.
Sorry for that ramble. Yeah, sorry, I
Yeah,
got into that
I
story a
quite
bit
enjoyed
too
that, to be
much.
honest. It's quite interesting. Any
Yeah,
other
don't do that.
mistakes? I can't
What do you
think of
say?
one. Anything else that you think? Mm,
First timers, things to be before you. Yeah, just other things to be aware of. If you're using, and I know we don't always like talking about those, but if you're using drugs and things like that, you need to be very sparing with what you're doing with that as
yeah,
well. There's some fucking bad advice with that with some people as well. And I've had people come to me and say they want to be assisted, and they have been assisted, and they'll be like, so like I'll use that stuff very sparingly.
yeah,
Last month or so before the show, whatever, maybe 6 weeks, whatever, depending on what the show is, like steroid wise. So we're talking like Anavar and whatnot. And I've had people come to me at like 24 weeks out. Can we prep me for this show? And I'm saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. Then they've been on Anavar for like 12 weeks
that is
already,
hard.
and they plan on like running it for and I'm like, I don't even know what to say. I'm just like,
Yeah,
you're gonna need to get off. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
yeah. So just be
It's actually
careful what advice
scary,
you
isn't it?
take.
Really,
You are.
it's actually quite scary. Like the if they've been
I've
hitting the
had girls
periods or
come to me,
whatever.
Leah, that have been on Anavar for 1 year straight.
That is mad.
Multiple, not just one. Multiple women.
That's scary.
Yeah,
God.
and the voice hasn't changed. I mean, I think they got lucky, but the voice, I was like, has anything changed? Like, no.
God.
Would have if it was Primo.
Yeah.
They'd sound like fucking He-Man if it was fucking Primo. But yeah,
God, that is mad. Crazy. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And actually I just thought of one more as well is like get your routine locked in before you prep, because I remember, the first time, the good old 2018 prep that I always refer to.
yeah,
I was living in like student accommodation at that point and in like a not a great relationship at the time. And then my routine was like all over the like just no routine, no structure. So for me to like go into a prep and try and hit steps, get cardio, like be on it with my meal prep, it was like a full, like I ate pretty well, but I wasn't like on it
yeah,
properly, like bodybuilding on it. And to go into a prep there and then be like on it was like a huge change, and I really struggled to just get the consistency. So I think if you can like run, so this is what I'll always do, like when I first get a client, before we even diet or before we do anything, we'll just spend like, and I think you do this the same as well, like 4 to 6 weeks maybe just like solidifying everything, like I'll look at the meal timings with them, I'll look at the diary with them, I'll plan out when they're going to train, just get everything nailed first, like go through all the form videos, make sure everything's good. And then you've got like your body will respond really well to that anyway, and then from there you can decide kind of what you want to do once you've got everything locked in at the start.
yeah.
So I
Just
think,
sit with it.
yeah, just don't rush into a prep before you've got all that sorted, at least at the start.
Yeah, there's more to it, man.
Yeah. Do you want to touch a little bit on like time frames of prep? I mean, you kind of said already you sometimes do like a pre-prep and then hold and then go into like a prep. How long would you say is like a typical first time prep?
I, I mean, 20 weeks you'd say is a general prep, wouldn't you? Sometimes I'll allow a little bit longer,
Yeah,
especially
just
if it's the first one, and especially if there's just staying completely natural as well. I prefer to do I prefer to be on the side of caution and maybe do 23, 24, just
yeah,
because like you can slow prep down. That's easy. Give them some more rest, give them some more food, chill them out. Slowing a prep down's a piece of piss, but you don't want to try and speed it up if you
yeah,
start to run behind and you're
yeah,
chasing your tail. I hate having to chase preps down. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So I'd rather be ready a little bit early, but not too early, or slow the prep down. But yeah, anywhere 20 to 24 weeks is probably sound.
Yeah,
If you've decided not to do the pre-prep and you want to run a little bit longer, maybe do a 26, 28 week prep, something like that, and just kind of take it a bit steadier at the beginning, or however you want to do it. But yeah, I mean, anywhere in them time frames, really.
Yeah.
It's just about not having too much to do at once. That's all it really boils down to. Not having too much to take off. Because once it
Yeah.
gets past a certain point, you're fucking dragging it off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Agree. Yeah, so that's kind of the kind of time frame with everything. And then I guess just touching on the peak week, and like, because I sometimes get, I don't know if you get this, but I'll sometimes get girls being like, oh, how much cardio am I going to be doing, like what food am I going to be on? And obviously you can't, the thing is that is you're never going to know unless you go through the prep, because you obviously you're only going to change things to make things move faster. So it's like you could put someone on a bit of cardio and they like continue dropping weight, and then someone else you need to add more cardio. So it's like, you're never going to know when you start a prep
Oh no.
exactly what you're going to be on until you go through it. So
If a prep's
um,
pre-planned out, the fucking person who doesn't know what they're doing.
yeah, but I'll get asked that a lot with first time. It's like, oh, how much cardio am I going to be on in prep? And I have to
Much as
explain
you
kind
need
of
to be to get sharp. Do
yeah,
you know
how
what
the
I
prep
mean?
works.
Yeah. I've got a girl now who's 8 weeks out and she still hasn't done any cardio.
Wow,
She's just coming off. So,
that's great.
like, I mean, it doesn't happen very often that with
Yeah,
women, but I mean, it happens plenty. It happens plenty enough. Do you know what I mean?
I quite like doing the cardio. It makes me feel like I'm not working hard.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to be fair, she does quite a bit of steps. She's got a busy job or
Yeah,
day life, or whatever. So she's on quite a bit of steps. She's
yeah,
on probably about 16,000 steps.
it's
So I
a lot,
mean,
yeah.
you could argue that, like some. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah, yeah,
she's not doing any direct cardio.
yeah.
I know some of these fuckers have people on like 20 plus thousand steps. Well, when I've had some consults, be like, I said, how much are you doing? 20,000 steps
That's like
or
3
20,
hours of walking
22.
a day.
Yeah, 22,000. And I've had that, and I'm like, all right, so you're not doing any cardio? Oh yeah, yeah, I'm doing an hour's cardio. Then I'm like, the
Oh
fuck?
my god, that is
When do you
just
sleep?
when do you do anything?
When
There's
do
a
you
walk.
work or like brush your teeth?
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I do have some clients actually that naturally sit really, really high, like 18 to 20, and they really struggle to get below it just because they just like
Factory
walking.
workers.
Well, they're not even factory workers. Some of them are office workers, but they just like being they just like walking and being really active. And
Yeah,
I think
fucking hell,
that's
that's
a lot of
wild.
movement. It's impressive, really, isn't it? That manage to
Yeah,
do
I
that
mean, I
walk.
bet the mental health feels absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic. But usually, when I've got people like that, it's usually like some nurses
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
who just don't sit still, obviously. Factory workers. Um, I've had dog walkers before. I've had
Yeah.
dog walker clients, obviously, and just things like that,
Great
really.
for prep, that, isn't it?
Yeah, until I need them to have a fucking day where they don't do now.
Yeah, yeah, mad. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much it, isn't it? I think we've gone through a lot there with like setting up your prep, first timer, what to expect, etc.
Yeah, peak week, and like, I mean, we didn't touch on it too much, but it's peak week basically is when you stop doing anything. So you're
Yeah,
like, you're not doing any cardio, your steps come down, fat burners come out generally, or get lowered, and then you're just kind of eating a little bit more food. But
yeah.
there's nothing magical on peak week.
Just
All the
resting a bit,
like
aren't you? Really, that's it.
depleting this and fucking loading that, and then having this and then like you're just complicating a non complex process, and
Yeah,
Pete, it's easy to think that more is better, and bodybuilding mentality is always thinking
yeah,
more is better. But it's not. The reality is actually quite often and more often, the less complicated it is, the better it is.
yeah. And I
'Cause-
sometimes think with this, does some coaches like overcomplicate it because they want to seem like they're being really
Oh
like fancy
fucking
and stuff,
hell, do
you
this,
know?
and I'm like, your body's just been running doing one thing for about 20 weeks,
Yeah,
and then you're going to start throwing all this fucking mad shit at it, expecting some magical result. And I've always said this: I'd rather be at 96, 97%, 100% of the time when I put people on stage, than trying to hit that magical 100% and only hitting it 30, 40% of the
yeah,
time, because you bloody miss half the time when you
yeah,
try to do some mad shit.
yeah. You don't know which way
It's
it's gonna
not
go.
it's not worth them extra couple of percent that you might be able to get by just doing something mad.
Yeah,
Freshen the body up, fill it up gently, let it coast into the show, get on stage.
yeah, yeah. And that's that. Job done. Amazing. So next week we're gonna do post show, which is, I guess, anyone could listen to that, but we're gonna do it specifically for like what you need to know, how to navigate it, etc. All that jazz. So hopefully
Yeah.
this has helped, and I always link our like Instagrams below as well, so you can give us a little follow, leave us a review. I'm trying to collect our reviews, by the way.
Only good reviews.
Only
Don't give
good
us no
ones,
bad
of
ones.
course. So if you can leave us a little review, that would be amazing. Thank you
Yeah.
in advance for the good review.
TIA.
Fab, and we'll be back next week. Bye.